So I don't know how we gonna get this on the internet, because I think this should be a paid episode, because they say that on my various different channels I talk too much about sex, and this episode is going to kind of be about sex. So again, I think this should be a paid episode, and I'm going to figure out a way to put it out. But what I want to talk about here is that I want to talk about the power of what they call the sacred yoni. And I've addressed it as the sacred yoni on my other various channels. So I'm not going to get into that here as far as defining what the yoni means. But I want to talk about the power of it. And this is based upon an experiment that I did. So as you guys know, I've been celibate for, I say since, you guys kind of seen me in the past few years on this channel or various different channels. A lot of you guys have been seeing me kind of homeless. And through the course of that, I was celibate the whole time that I was homeless. And one of the first things that I noticed about celibacy is that when I first started it, I came, of course, from out of a relationship. And I came from out of a sexual situation. And the first thing that I noticed is that when I started, I guess you can kind of say, when you're celibate, I know I did. Some people don't. I mean, I take my hat off to you if you don't. But like when I was celibate, I engaged in what some people call, because really masturbation is really for women. It's really for women. So I engaged in what some people call masturbation, but actually really when men do what's called jacking off or whatever, that's actually, believe it or not, and this is what the meat of this video is about, that's actually, from my research, called exercising. And that's why I want to point that out. It's not sex at all. Why? Because there's no moisture involved. Unless you spill semen, of course, then it becomes a sexual contract. Only if you decide to spill semen, then it becomes a sexual contract. But if you decide not to spill semen, which is what I would suggest for males in the beginning, it's just a simple exercise, something that you can do to strengthen that muscle. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because from my research, the female vagina as a muscle is stronger than the male penis. That's right, the female vagina, is stronger than the male phallus or penis. Now, I'm not taking away credit from the male phallus or penis, because remember, the penis is a magic weapon. More magical than the vagina. I mean, the vagina is magic. I shouldn't say that. But magic in the course of bringing children into the world and stuff like that. Magic and sex, of course, because it helps to heal us and things of that nature. But the magic wand is a lot more powerful when you talk about magic and sex. The magic wand is what sets the course with sex. So that's the first thing you want to understand when it comes to sex. You set the tone as a male. However, the female, once the course of sex gets going, the female vagina is a lot stronger. And I'm going to challenge you guys out here to think, like you this and that, to see who can do what. For the males or whatever. And you can keep this to yourself or go ahead and put it in the comments or whatever you do. That's up to you. But I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to say this. If you think you're so powerful, go and partake in sex with a woman and try to spill semen in her. In 23 hours or less, try to spill semen in her at least 8 times. And see if you can do it. And then turn around and go and masturbate or something like that. And see how easy it is for you to spill semen when you masturbate. It's going to be a lot easier when you masturbate versus going to war with that vagina. And that's what they don't want to point out. And this is why I believe ultimately, this is what I really want to point out, that I believe ultimately, based upon my research in this experiment, predominantly males were raised in America as homosexuals. That's right, I said it, as homosexuals, males and females in the United States. And the reason why I point that out is because generally men are afraid of vagina. I'm talking about from the male perspective. We ain't talking about why women are homosexuals right now. I'm talking about males. I mean, that's right. Men are afraid of vagina. Generally. You say, you know, every man say they want and this and that. But it's like, what are you really doing with it? Are you really taking care of it? You got to ask yourself this. Because from what I've realized that a lot of males aren't. I'm not saying you're not pleasing your woman. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, are you really taking care of the vagina totally from A to Z in the sexual experience? And if you're taking care of it, you're going to find yourself in vagina or dealing with vagina a lot throughout the course of the day. And you're going to be weak. You're not going to really have a lot of sexual energy compared to the woman. She's going to drain you. That's what I'm getting at. Because if you really taking care of the vagina, this is why her cootie is stronger. She can get tired too. That's what I learned. A woman can get tired and drained out just like a male. It just takes a little more, a little longer, and it takes different treatment. Totally different treatment. So what I'm pointing out is that, let's go back to the fear thing. We got to get unfeared or unscared of the vagina and realize that the vagina is a muscle that is healing you, and you're also healing it. However, you got to remember this: the vagina is more powerful than you, and this is what I really want to point out. This is the meat of this video. And I don't know how much I'm going to charge for it, a few dollars or whatever, but this is what I want to point out. The meat of this video: the vagina is more powerful at the end of the day, because every time you go in it, your penis is going to lose power and potency. Every time you go in, and the only way to gain that power and potency back is through exercise, what some of you call masturbation. You know what? Women aren't going to want to hear this, because women don't like their males to masturbate because they feel like it makes them weaker in the sexual experience. I'm doing a video. It makes it weaker in the sexual experience when you do when males masturbate and try to turn around and have sex. But the woman has to learn. This is addressing women right here. The woman has to learn how to be more tolerant for the male as he grows in sexual experience, because eventually the male, and this is what I want to point out, and I got to shut down, and I'll come back up maybe later and talk about more, but the male is going to eventually gain a lot of power and be able to go just as long as the woman. It won't be a difference between men and women when it comes to sex anymore. There won't be no more 2-minute brothers. Those 2-minute brothers are going to die. Like, it's not going to be a lot of those. It's not going to be, all of that's going to go away. And the male is going to have to realize that and start to utilize his penis, no homo here, but I have to say this, has to start utilizing his penis as a vagina. Because as a clitoris, excuse me. Not a vagina, as a clitoris, excuse me. Because the male penis is the same thing as the female clitoris or clitoris. And just like the clitoris gets soggy and weak, and you say your penis is limp and this and that, and women laughing, but nobody's laughing when the clitoris is sagging and weak and looking flimsy. And male penis is the same thing, and it's just that a male needs to exercise and do certain things to clear that up. So in the future, what we're going to do on the next episode is we're going to go more in depth. We're going to go from the clitoris aspect and the penis aspect and talk about the experiment and how that happened. How exactly did this take place? How exactly did the female clitoris turn into a penis? We'll talk about that in the future. Namaste.